Ron DeSantis' administration in Florida has approved a rule banning the teaching of gender identity and sexual orientation through the 12th grade. A lot of people are cheering for this, saying it was the right move. And, well, I agree to a certain extent. We should not have in these schools kids under a certain age being taught about what I would describe as kink. I'm concerned that Ron DeSantis isn't actually doing anything. I'm in kind of a bad mood, I got to be honest. In my last segment, I talked about Jazz Jennings' mom. And after wrapping this up, I feel a lot of rage. Because it's not just Jazz Jennings' mother. It's also that doctor. There's that doctor who wants to yeet the teats, she describes it. I believe she's also in Florida. And so I just started thinking, is this what we get Ron DeSantis? Look, man, I like what Ron DeSantis does, but is this it? I'm not going to vote for that. I will tell you right now. Ron DeSantis can't just do these, we're going to pass a rule saying no teacher is teaching about this one thing and then walk away. Because you have much more horrifying stories, like the story of Jazz Jennings' mother and what this woman has done to Jazz. And I don't, for the life of me, understand why Ron DeSantis has not pursued criminal charges against these people. Now, don't get me wrong. Apparently, they have banned a lot of these practices, and they will begin going after people. But I'm pretty sure outside of that, you have easy criminal charges against these people. This is the weirdest thing. You get a doctor who prescribes a double mastectomy to a teenager, and then Ron DeSantis and the administration comes out and says, okay, yeah, that you can't do that anymore. The legislature in Florida says this is illegal. Okay, I get it. Doctor prescription. But I don't know. I don't know. If a doctor prescribed the amputation of a healthy body part, what is it civil? No, seriously, serious question. It may be. If a person goes to a doctor, the doctor says you got an infection, we got to remove your arm, then they do, and that person says you were wrong. It's a civil suit. The doctor being wrong isn't a criminal action. That I understand. Now they've made it criminal. But the thing about Jazz Jennings' mom, I think, just crosses the line into overt criminal activity, and I don't understand how it's persisted this long. Ron DeSantis must do something. Let me first show you the news here, and we'll talk about where I'm going with this. Actually, you know what? You get it. That's the news. Florida bans teaching of gender identity and sexuality through the 12th grade. I don't care. I really don't. Here's what I see. I'm going to play this clip for you. I played it in the last segment. I'm going to play it again because this one, it really makes me angry. It makes me very angry.
But with her, I'm worried about like her mental well-being and her dilation. The minute she leaves my house, we have a dilation problem.
That is a concern. When you don't have that watchful eye, they tend to go back to old patterns.
I have woken Jazz out of a dead sleep and taken the dilator and put the lubrication on it and said, here, you take this and you put it in your vagina. If not, I will. But Jazz is bad, even when I'm home once a day. I would be so mad if she goes away to college and that thing seals up. I will wring her neck.
I can't. I've seen this clips from a while ago, and I just don't, for the life of me, understand how Ron DeSantis has not initiated criminal charges against this woman. I genuinely don't. We have nothing but feckless leaders. I guess Ron DeSantis wants to be president. Is that why? I'm over it. Look, I know I have my disagreements with people like Michael Malice over the extent to which the state should intervene, but I'm not an anarchist. And I'm not a big L libertarian. I am a traditional liberal, and I lean into the libertarian spectrum, meaning, for the most part, live and let live. But here we have a story of a woman who took her male child, castrated him with chemicals, and now you have the expression of the most extreme degree of this story. That is, this woman has publicly stated to the world, Jazz Jennings, a biological male with plastic surgery to create an open wound that must be pried apart with a dilator, is resisting that treatment. This warrants a criminal investigation. Let me, please, Media Matters, for the love of all that is holy, write this one up and plaster it all over your website, because I'm done. I'm sick of this stuff. If Jazz Jennings does not want to place a medical device into a pelvic wound and pry it open, that is the prerogative. That is the the life of Jazz Jennings. If this woman is saying she will choke her unless she does this, at what point does Ron DeSantis do something? I'm confused by this. I'm genuinely confused by this. Maybe Ron just doesn't know. That's fair. I won't assume that everybody knows everything all the time. I'm seeing this again. We talked about it a few weeks ago. It is a very, very disturbing video. I'm going to play it again for you.
Out of a dead sleep and taken the dilator and put the lubrication on it and said, here, you take this and you put it in your vagina. If not, I will. But
put it in or I will. That's a threat of violence against an adult human person, right? For what purpose does Jazz Jennings have to pry open a pelvic wound? There's only one. So that another human being, male, can place his penis inside of the wound for sexual gratification. I can't see. I mean, it's mind blowing to me that this kind of thing persists in this day and age. If you go back in time, you talk about a mother who's got a son locked up and forcing the kid to do weird things. I mean, the state intervenes and arrests these people. How is this any different? If Jazz is resisting this, okay, you want to make an argument about a doctor prescribed it and Jazz went through with it, fine, but Jazz was a minor child who could not consent to being castrated. You want to talk about, well, the child and the parent made a decision on the matter. Okay, fine. Jazz is now a human adult, and this warrants an investigation. Jazz is a human adult whose mother admits to saying, stick this into a wound and pry it open or I will. Imagine what would happen if a man said on TV that he goes to his wife in the middle of the night and grabs an object, lubricates and says, you stick this in you or I'll do it. That person would immediately be investigated or arrested. How is this any different? Imagine a video of a man saying, if that woman, if he says his wife does not do this, he would wring her neck. How would that not warrant an investigation? And this is where we are. So here's where I'm at. I see this story and then I'm just like, I don't care. Look, in schools, if they say if you're in third grade or below, we don't teach this stuff, I say, makes sense to me. If you're then like, okay, now 4th to 12th grade, we don't teach it. I'm kind of like, okay, I guess, whatever. They go on to explain that this does not blanket ban everything. There can be sex education if the parents opt for it. And that makes sense to me. What we've been seeing in these schools is kink education, books showing butt plugs and things like that. That's not sex ed. That should all be banned, period. I agree with Ron DeSantis on that one. I just don't understand how we've gotten to this point where this video has persisted. And there's also another video that I should pull up for you. Let me. I should have pulled this up prior to this because I did this in the last segment. Let me pull up this other video so you can see just the extent to which the abuse goes. And I'm just pissed. Look, let me put it this way. I tweeted, I am demanding the Ron DeSantis administration immediately begin the pursuit of criminal charges against the mother of Jazz Jennings. After watching that video, I want to play another video for you. Here's another one.
So, are you feeling like you wanted to start talking about? Are you okay?
I'm okay.
I'm like I'm gonna cry. But
You know I can't get out of my head.
I know. Listen.
It just doesn't stop.
It's okay. Give me a hug. It's okay. I know what you're going through. We've been there before.
No, it still doesn't stop now. And I'm already going back to negative.
But the more you're talking about yourself, it gets harder. You're digging in and it's making you put a magnifying glass on what's already difficult as it is. So this is hard for you, I know, and we don't want to push you
I
anymore.
know I'm the one doing it. Like,
I know, you're your own worst enemy.
I feel kind of all over the place and like my mind is very cluttered and not clear. And I really want to have that clarity. I really want to understand myself and be able to read my own soul and what I want. And it's just very challenging. And I think I'm kind of breaking down a little bit and spiraling into negativity.
So here's a video showing Jazz Jennings saying that they don't feel like themselves. I think, is there more?
I just want to feel like myself. Like, that's
Right.
it. I don't
Like the
care.
old Jazz?
All I want is to be happy and feel like me. And I don't feel like
What
me
is me?
ever.
I don't feel like me ever. I'll tell you what I think. No point in holding back. Jazz Jennings is not transgender. Jazz Jennings is a child who did not understand what transgender was 3 years old, I believe, when the family decided Jazz was trans, and then began the social transition at 7. And, excuse me, medical transition, I believe, happened around 11 years old. This isn't so much the story of a single individual, right? The left likes to say, oh, but it's one person. Oh, it doesn't happen that much. Yeah, I think if one person is murdered, it's a problem. Right now, the left is complaining about the shooting of Ralph Yarl, which appears to be a justified shooting, albeit a tragedy. I don't want these things to happen. I feel bad for this kid. I hope he's okay. But if you try to enter someone's home in Missouri, they have a right to use force against you. I wish it did not happen. But it's one person. So they want to be mad about it. That's fine. I'll be mad about this person and say, we don't want this to happen to anyone else. Jazz Jennings clearly doesn't feel like themselves. Something's wrong. Jazz Jennings recently, it was revealed, began dating women. I think Jazz, as I've predicted years ago and even now, is starting to realize this is not who they were meant to be. And this was forced upon them. Why is it that Jazz Jennings is dating women? Perhaps because Jazz is attracted to women, because Jazz is a biological male, and 99% of biological males are attracted to biological females. I shouldn't even say biological, just a male attracted to a female. When Jazz was early on in the show, Jazz was prepubescent. Jazz stated they were that Jazz said that they were attracted to boys. After the typical age of puberty, Jazz said that they were pan. I predicted this was Jazz starting to realize that they were, in fact, attracted to females. Now, at I think 23 or 22 years old, Jazz is dating females. I think this shows Jazz is not trans. That's my view of this. You can see in this video the mother gaslighting Jazz, saying it's you. You're doing this. You're doing this. When Jazz is simply saying, I want to feel like me, but I never do. Interesting. You take a look at that video of Jazz's mother saying, if you don't stick this in, I will. That says to me that one, Jazz doesn't want to be doing this. Jazz is depressed and undergoing some kind of trauma, not feeling like who they're supposed to be and dating women. I think it's fairly obvious. The mother is psychologically torturing and physically abusing her male child. After I did the last segment, I couldn't stop thinking about this because I'm just pissed off. How this is being televised and monetized in Florida. Ron DeSantis should immediately begin the process of criminal investigation. Oh, but he won't do it. You expect me to vote for this guy? Let me give a shout out to our friends over the Daily Wire. You expect me to vote for this guy, Ron DeSantis? To all of my other Trump supporting friends who have jumped on the DeSantis train, you expect me to vote for this guy? This is his backyard. And what's he scared of? Look, I've not talked to the guy. I don't know. Maybe he's not. Maybe I'm just a little too worked up. Here's my view. The reason this has persisted for years is because, one, Ron faces no pressure from anyone to pursue criminal charges against this horrible woman. But also, what do you think would happen if he did? They would turn the TV show into the criminal charges against them by Ron DeSantis. And that could hurt Ron DeSantis' chance at being the president. Don't know, don't care. I will never vote for Ron DeSantis if this is persisting in his state. End of story. And I want to ask all of you to comment below and let me know your thoughts. As much as, look, he's done a great job in Florida. Convince me to support Ron DeSantis when this is happening in his backyard. Convince me. I don't think you can, and I won't do it. And a lot of people mentioned Donald Trump and his support for Fauci. Fair point. Absolutely fair point. How he could have allowed those people. And that's why I only say I begrudgingly say I'd vote for Trump. I think he's the right guy for 2024 for a variety of reasons, but mostly he's going to fire everybody. Not that he's perfect. I like his foreign policy. Actually, right now, I got to be honest, I'm looking at RFK Jr. He might be the guy. Get to vote Democrat and force the Democratic Party to realign. But I think ultimately I would not support a Democrat at all, even if it was RFK Jr., as much as he's a much better guy than the rest of what they have to offer. But I'm seeing a lot of moderate Democrats saying they would vote for him. And I'm like, okay. Right now, where I'm at is I am taking a look at this story and I am thinking to myself over and over again, why isn't Ron DeSantis pursuing criminal charges against this woman in Florida. After this, here's what you got to understand. This is what we've seen publicly, these admissions. In this video, there's a jump cut. Let me point it out. Let me go back to this video and play it again.
They tend to go back to old patterns.
I have woken Jazz out of a dead sleep and taken the dilator and put the lubrication on it and said, here, you take this and you put it in.
That jump cut right there.
Take this and
Here, you take this.
you put it in your.
And you put it in. There's a jump cut there. Something was removed from that statement. Now, the first thing I thought was I want to be careful about maybe she's saying something else and it's the television that changed the context. I don't think that's the case. They removed something from there. I want to know what they removed.
On it and said, here, you take this and you put it in your vagina. If not, I will.
If not, I will. I mean, that was a complete sentence. All right, it was a sentence fragment, but it was a complete thought. If you don't do it, I will. I want to know what the TV show cut out and why. Maybe it's because it was too horrifying. Maybe because you said something like, you take this and you stick it in and you pry it open. Otherwise, and they said, that's a little too much. How have we come to this point? I don't know. All I know is that Ron DeSantis didn't do anything about it. So I'm going to give him an opportunity to see this. And I hope that other people are tweeting this out, sending it his way, and to other people in the DeSantis orbit and saying, will you address this? Because I'll make it simple for you. I think Ron DeSantis is presidential to a certain degree. I would love a President Ron DeSantis. I'd prefer President Trump for the time being for a variety of reasons, but I'd be very happy with a President DeSantis. If Ron DeSantis is not capable of dealing with this, that'll never happen. I will never vote for Ron DeSantis. If come 2024, Jazz Jennings' mother has not been criminally charged, or at the very least, I'll put it this way, I would be satisfied with a criminal investigation that resulted in the DA saying we don't think we have enough for criminal charges. I'd say, well, thank you for pursuing it. I don't know everything. I've only seen these clips, right? Now, I think the appropriate response is we've already got evidence of crime being committed, of serious psychological abuse. And I bet because this family's been documented going back a decade plus, you'd be able to find tons of criminal actions taken against these children. My view is if Ron DeSantis does not take action against this woman in some capacity, he's not cut out to be president. And I don't think there'd be any convincing me otherwise. And I honestly, I know that many of the Daily Wire guys are pro DeSantis. I got to ask them the same thing, particularly Matt Walsh. I feel like Matt Walsh would probably agree with me in this regard. My question is, I'll reach out to Matt. Do you agree with me that this woman should be criminally charged in the state of Florida by the Ron DeSantis administration? I believe the question is a resounding yes. Again, I'd be satisfied if the end result of the investigation was that they didn't have enough for criminal charges. Because, again, I'm not the judge, jury, on this one. I'm not the investigator. Perhaps I'm wrong. I can respect that. But I think there needs to be some investigation of this woman. So I believe that's why I said I'm demanding DeSantis immediately begin pursuit of criminal charges. I believe that she should be immediately arrested and criminally charged. I don't believe that I can supersede due process. That's why I think DeSantis should begin the pursuit of these charges, meaning it may turn out they don't find any or they can't pull it off. Now, my opinion is they can. But again, like I said, I'm not the governor. I'm not the jury. I'm not the judge. I'm not the investigator. I don't know. But I can't believe this. The gaslighting, the physical abuse, it's shocking to me. And I have to wonder what would happen if you took Jazz into a private setting and said, talk to us about everything about how you feel. You're safe here. Because here's what I think. Why is Jazz Jennings depressed? Jazz says, I don't feel like myself ever. And I keep going in negative places. Think about what it must be like to be surrounded by cameras and TV shows and agents and politicians all demanding you must do this. But knowing deep down in your heart of hearts, it brings you pain. How could you break free from that? I thought about something when I was younger. I'd heard a story about someone who was deeply depressed and suicidal. And the words they had expressed was that they felt that there was no way out. And that was confusing to me. I said, well, what do you mean? Just leave. But they didn't. was ultimately the story of someone who took their own life. And they said they felt like they had no way out. And as I stated, it's confusing because I'm like, if you've truly given up on the world around you and your life and your family and your friends to the point where you would consider something like that, why not just take a stick, take a handkerchief, put some food and clothing in it, wrap it up, tie it to the stick, and just leave? Seek out anything else. Give life another opportunity. It's because for most people, they don't know how to survive. They don't know what they would do, and their life is all they have. And it's also that the reason they felt like there was no way out was because if they did abandon their friends and family, it would cause more trouble and more pain. So ultimately, they felt the only thing they could do was just end it all. And that's wrong. That's not the way out. This is what I think for Jazz Jennings. Jazz can't escape this. Jazz is famous. No matter where Jazz goes, Jazz will be famous for being exactly this. How much do you want to bet? I'm willing to bet. Jazz had the conversation with the family about not wanting to do this anymore. And the family saying, there are so many young people all over the world who are relying on you as a role model. You can't stop. What will happen to them if you give up? I would be willing to bet a large sum of money that conversation's happened. So here's what I think needs to happen. This needs to be stopped. I mean, this show is insane. The DeSantis administration needs to put an end to it. Let the family flee the state and go to Colorado or Washington. Fine, whatever. But Ron DeSantis sitting by and letting this happen is too much. Jazz Jennings needs to be brought to a safe place where they can express themselves fully. Because I think Jazz Jennings is a victim. And how do you get someone to break free from the victim mentality? You got to separate them from their abusers. Jazz Jennings' mother, in my opinion, is a deranged psychopath who has physically tortured and abused her child. And something must be done. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see y'all then.